Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Truth and Tonic for Women. So today I want to try to make it make sense about something that we hit on a couple episodes ago, and it is basically, does God have you? So this episode goes out to all the women, parents, fathers sending their children to school and asking yourself, have I told my children the right things before they go to school? Because from what we've heard, not a lot of truth telling is going on. It's kind of scary out there for the children. So today I'm here again with Tiff.
Hi there.
And we're going to try to make it make sense in the realm of, does God really have you? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Just dandy.
I love your outfit.
Thank you. One of those things I got when my luggage was stolen in Italy. Don't like to talk about it out loud because it's a very sore subject for my spouse and his checkbook. Great subject for me. What have you been up to?
Little bit of pool, a little bit of lake, a little bit of work.
Oh yeah, you went to the lake for a whole week without her best friend. Do you see how this is working?
No, because you came home the day I left, and then I said you should come up, but you had just
likely story.
Remember, and then you said, "Oh well, maybe I'll come up on Sunday."
Yeah, I did not. As a tad.
That's okay. It was fun though. It's always a great time up there.
Family, friends, water, food. Yeah. What could be better?
I know.
Lovely.
And then you're about to go again.
So I'm going to fly into London, go to Amsterdam for a little bit, and then I am taking my first cruise in life, and we're going to sail the British Isles. So with some family and friends, so it should be a good time.
That'll be nice.
Yeah. So we're going to start, like always, with one of those questions that kind of stumped one of us one of those episodes ago. I'm like,
I'm
what?
still going to have to think about it.
What is going on? Make sure it's not one we've done before.
Oh.
Okay. This should be... Okay.
I go first?
You go first.
What's your greatest fear about getting older?
Oh, that's interesting. I say that because Tiffany does not talk about fears. She's like Superwoman over here, so this should be good.
Besides my kids leaving home? No, that's not about that.
That is her biggest fear, actually.
I mean, for real?
Although her youngest one is flying out the door.
I think one of my biggest fears about getting older is being very forgetful.
Really?
I don't know why it bothers me. I mean, I'm not maybe because it's the fear of the unknown. Okay, how about that?
Yeah, I get that.
But that could be every day.
That could be every day. Okay. Mine is, when was the last time you felt vulnerable with someone? Okay. So Steven, my husband, likes to say this a lot about me, is that I never show emotion whatsoever. I can be the happiest person in the world. I have resting bitch face. I'm not apologizing for it anymore. My face is my face. You love it. You hate it. Okay.
But you don't even care if people like you or not.
I don't. I mean, somewhere in the depths of my soul, I may care a little bit. But here's the funny thing, that lately I've been reading a lot of things on TikTok about Capricorns. And I am such a dead-on Capricorn that I'm like, I love you up until the point that I don't. And then I don't know your name. Don't call me. Don't talk to me. Especially don't lie to me. If you lie to me, you are like invisible. And I mean invisible. And the other thing about a Capricorn is that I can try really hard to be really good, but my face does not. My face will tell you exactly what I'm thinking
Yeah.
at all times. So even when I try to lie, which I can't, my face is there. So I say all that to say, I probably the last time I was vulnerable with anybody would be with Steven, because I don't show a lot of emotion to a lot of people. Now, if my best friend had been in town for the last 3 months and we were hanging out, it might be her. But I'm just going to say I had my whole entire luggage stolen in Italy, had no underwear, no socks, no toothpaste, no deodorant, no anything. So I was pretty freaking vulnerable. And yeah, I was with him.
I would have thought you would have said when you got married. Because I was really surprised, because up until like even you were like
the last person. What did I say?
Like last
the
time.
last time.
But it would say,
But it really was Italy. Like I felt like a fish out of water not having any of my things.
Well, it's also it's very intrusive on your personal space to know somebody's going through your stuff.
Yeah.
Even though you're
wearing my stuff.
And wearing your stuff. And
my very cute things.
And your wedding thing,
my wedding pajamas, my underwear, I mean,
I hope they're not wearing your underwear.
Please. Beggars cannot be choosy. You're going to steal shit. They knew it was clean.
It gave them a
they
wedgie.
knew it was clean. Like it was packed.
I hope it gave them a wedgie.
Oh my God. I just hope that there was some homeless family that got my stuff. Sorry.
That's true.
Okay. So this is what this episode is about, because it is frightening to me. We did an episode on STIs. We did a follow-up. We had my husband's nephew here for a couple of weeks. And after that episode, and you guys, I'm not lying. I'm not making it up. This is really the quote. When talking about how they protect themselves
during
having sex was God has me.
He said, my friends think that God has them. Like, it was like more about them getting girls pregnant.
God has me. They haven't had one talk about an STI. Not one talk about the fact that now in this time and space, women can't get abortions, right? So God has me. I'm just like, what? What does that even mean? And he was so serious. And so I said to him,
he said, well, I don't think that.
No, I don't think he ever said that, because I said to him, well, what happens if you get your girlfriend pregnant? And he said, well, I mean, I'm okay with that. You're 21. You're still in college. You don't have a job. You have no money. You have nothing. So are your parents okay with you bringing home a kid? Because you're not taking care of it. What? So I wanted to do an episode about...
Are we preparing our children to lead into the world?
Are you guys talking to your kids about... I know that you're saying, hey, there's a freshman 15, you need to study, you're going to be going to parties, friends, RAs. Are you saying you need a condom? You need birth control. You can get pregnant the first time you have sex. Guys can be slimy to get in your pants. Vice versa. There are some, not cougars, but some girls out there. Oh, here's the other thing that we learned when Oscar was here. He was saying, and I don't know this to be true, but Steven seems to think it's very true. So back when we were growing up, you sleep with more than one person, you're a slut. And that's just the way it was. Slut, whore. Well, anyway, it wasn't a good label. Now, Steven says that women are in this phase of life where if boys can do it, girls can do it. And I can sleep with as many boys as you can sleep with girls. What do we feel about that?
Well, I feel like it is.
Well, first of all, do you think that that is happening now?
Yes, I do. I think that it's happening because I work with high schoolers, and I would never put, just like when we did the program on menopause, we said, everybody's different. I do think that there are a group of, or a number of girls who think that it makes them popular, that gives them bragging rights.
Oh, that's where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they say, oh, I've slept with X number of people, and other people are like, oh, that's cool. I don't know. I mean,
what? That's cool. Okay, so Steven said it was more about you can't slut shame me. So we're going with bragging rights and you can't slut shame me.
Okay.
That's fine, whatever.
So maybe because nobody ever says to a guy, oh, you have slept with 20 girls, that nobody ever dogs out a guy for that.
I do. I'm like, ew.
Well,
where's that thing
do
been?
you think that other teenagers or young adults think it's as bad for a guy to sleep with 20 people as it is a girl to sleep with 20 guys?
Well, I have heard even the person who told
so now
us
women
about
are going,
this,
don't slut shame me.
Right.
I can do it,
but
if you can do it.
Steven says that the same person that like God has me is like, I would never marry anybody that slept with over 20 people, but you're sleeping with them, but you wouldn't marry them.
Oh, I think I'm probably very...
That's a huge caveat, right? I can sleep with whoever I want to, but I'm not going to marry that person.
You're not the marrying type. Haven't you ever heard that? You're not the marrying type.
But back in the day where we're
I'm not taking you home to
mama.
I'm not taking you home to my mom. I'll sleep with you, but you're not coming home with me.
Girl, I heard that about my color, but it is what it is.
I'll sleep with a black girl, but I'm not taking
home to him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I just think it's very interesting. So I feel as though we need to have a frank conversation about the fact that whether you think that your child, your college-age child, or maybe your junior, your senior, are not having sex and you don't want them to be having sex, this conversation needs to be had because, like I said, whether you're a person that is pro-life or not, your teenage daughter comes home from college, her first semester pregnant. What are you doing? What does that set up for them in their life? What happens? What's the dynamic there?
I think that was a big thing that we had talked about that day. We said, what does that do to your life? Do you think, okay, I come home and I say, I'm pregnant. I'm 20. I'm 20. What does that do for your future? What does that do for your parents' future? Right. What does that do or a guy, if you're a responsible guy,
but that sets
then
up.
Then you have to go and you're done with school. I mean, I have a friend,
excuse me.
I have a friend whose son went off to college. He got a girlfriend. My friend was like, I swear that she is going to get pregnant. So he'll marry her.
Sorry. I do threes.
And she said to him, if you get her pregnant, I am not supporting you. You're done with school. You're getting a job.
What happened when she got pregnant?
Well, she didn't.
Oh.
She didn't.
Thought that was going to be a really good story.
She hasn't. She didn't. I think that they're past that point of, that thought process. But it was like, I meet every day grandparents that are raising their grandchildren.
Yeah. But that's also, I think that we are beyond the place where you don't want to talk to your child about sex, because if you do, that means they're going to have sex. They need, especially in this community, which is what I want, that you have knowledge, you know things, so you don't make the mistakes that other people have made. Having a child, you're with that child for 18 plus years. You're financially responsible. You should be teaching that child to be a normal human being in the world, community, family, all the things, financially responsible, know when to go to a doctor, be able to afford to go to a doctor, which is, I know, another subject, very hard to do these days because healthcare really does suck. But you still have to have these conversations because they don't know. And their friends are not telling them the correct information.
Well, I think we need to go back to what we said at the very beginning when he said that his friends think that, well, God has me. So let's talk about that.
So that means meant to be.
Well, let's talk about that because we do in some households we teach children, God will take care of you. You should have faith. I'm just saying.
Wait, God gives you free will. God says you can have sex, but you know what? I created a person who created a condom and created birth control. Like they figured out those things. Right. So I am going to give you a choice. You use a condom, you don't. That's not right. God.
I get that. No, it's not. But what I'm saying is like, we have to be deliberate when we teach our children about God has you, because we teach our children to have faith, to have trust in God.
Yes,
but
all
those things. But we have to teach them that because you have faith in God and because you have trust in God, it doesn't mean God's looking over your shoulder when you're having sex with your girlfriend or your boyfriend and saying, oh, they're not ready right now. I mean, that's not. So I guess my thing is you have to teach children the difference between faith and reality or responsibility, I should say.
Well, I was taught to fear God. And you know what God says? You're not supposed to have sex until you're married. Right?
Right.
So if we're going to go back to like God having a place in this, which is my point, God has no place in your sex life when you're 20 in college, drinking and having fun.
That was my point, because I feel like when we say, or when somebody says God has you, like when my kids go out at night and I'm like, oh God, please look after my kids, take care of my kids. But I have instilled in my children how to take care of themselves, how to be responsible,
and hopefully pick the right friends.
And so, yes, what you're saying is true. God has no place in your sex life. God has hopefully led you to be a responsible person.
Right.
But ultimately, this is on you. You need to be smart.
It is all on you and your girlfriend.
Yes,
or boyfriend or whoever you are having these encounters with. But we do realize that, a certain amount of us won't get pregnant if you're,
or get an STI
or no, whether you sleep with a girl or a boy, you're going to get an STI if you're not protecting yourself. But if a boy is sleeping with a boy, you're not going to get pregnant. If a girl is sleeping with a girl, you're not going to get pregnant. That's a given, right? But if you're somebody that's bisexual and you're sleeping with both, you can get pregnant. So I just feel as though, for instance, I had one of my good friends told me, it was a funny conversation. I was like, how's your daughter? And he was like, oh yeah, she's good. She told me she was bisexual. And I was like, oh, okay. How do you feel about that? He's like, it's ridiculous. I've never seen her with a boy ever. She's totally a lesbian. And I was like, why do you think she told you that? He goes, because she wants to break it down like very slowly that she's a lesbian. But if you have a child that is telling you that they're a bisexual or not being honest with you about their sexual orientation, you still need to have the conversation because they can still get pregnant or get someone pregnant. Like, pregnancy is a two-way street. And I thought it was important to bring it up because it's pregnancy and the spread of sexually transmitted infections. Like, God does not have that. There are real issues in this world. Okay. God is like, no, no, no. That one cannot possibly get chlamydia today. I just won't let it happen. Not going to allow it. Like, parents, listen, you've got to have honest, frank conversations with your kids, friends who come over. Be that parent that everyone's like, I got to go over and see Miss Tiffany because I have a question. She's going to tell me the truth. Honesty is very important, and your children, when they're going off to college, are young adults. They should be able to handle the truth. What movie is that? You can't handle.
A Few Good Men.
Yeah. They can handle the truth. You have to be responsible enough to give them what they need to get
you
through
have to
college.
know, like,
because college is more than grades.
Yes, it's a big change, but I think just growing up and going out there, and I think when you said that, when we were having that conversation, you and I were like, we could have 10 shows about myths and about what people think and about what people say. And then you get on that, with your friends, and you have a group of friends that might tell you this or tell you that. And what I always tell my kids is, it's great to talk to your friends, but you need to go and you need to find a person or a group of adults or trusted individuals to find out real information. And for that kid to say, or for him to say, oh, my friends believe that God has them. Well, that's like playing Russian roulette.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's like playing Russian roulette. And I think it's because kids always think, oh, it wouldn't happen to me.
Oh, because
it won't happen to me. But I bet
cognitive, that's all they can think of. It's all about.
I think that for people to think that kids at 20, 21, 18, 19 have it upstairs, they don't. It's not that they're stupid. They're not stupid. They're very intelligent. They just don't have all that knowledge yet. And if you are not giving your children that knowledge, you're doing them a disservice. Because they're going out there thinking they know it.
And they don't.
And even though we don't know it all, and I might not know things that Tracy knows and vice versa, you have people in your life, as an adult, you're smart enough to be able to find that information. And you need to, if you're raising your children, whether they're yours or somebody else's, or however you're a part of their lives, you need to be able to be honest with them and tell them those things that might be uncomfortable. Do you really think that it was great for me to sit across from my kids and talk about sex? No. The other night, so my 14-year-old is taking a health class. Mm-hmm. My 14-year-old. And the other night, she was in her room studying. And the other night, my middle daughter and I walked into her room, and my husband was in the bedroom, and I said something to my my youngest daughter, Sophia. I said, you're studying, but you need to do your laundry. Or I said something to her funny, and she goes, not right now, I'm learning about cum. And I was like,
what?
My middle daughter, Victoria goes, I'm leaving. I walked into my husband, who was sitting on the bed playing a game, and I said, did you hear that? And he goes, what? And I said, Sophia's learning about cum. And he was like, okay. And so we were all like,
but that's good.
But it was good because
that was really good.
Also, it wasn't totally shocking to her, but she was more or less like, get out of my room. I'm busy.
I'm trying to learn something. Now, see, this is because that is so funny. This is what I remember, because teenagers are so
But we talk about it, so we're open about it. I guess my point was, it wasn't like she was hiding. It was health. She was learning.
She was taking health.
But it wasn't like she was like, hiding the subject because she was embarrassed to say it. She said it,
I came over, this is when I lived in New York, and I would come and visit Tiff and the family, and it was summer. Her girls are gorgeous. They I don't think kids wear clothes these days. They wear I don't know, things, half shorts, half tops. I don't know. And they both had boyfriends at the time. And the night before we were there, the boyfriends were over and they were all cuddled on the sofa and they're all like hanging out and blah blah. And I'm looking at this like, what is going on? And so I thought to myself, I was like, Tiffany, have you talked to them about like, this thing? And she's like, oh no, it's fine. I was like, okay. So the next day I go upstairs. I'm like, knock on O's door, the oldest. Hey, honey. So here's my number. You can call me anytime you want to. I see that you're downstairs. You're hanging out with your boyfriend. Everything's cool. I said, but you have to know that you're a very attractive girl and you have on shorts and, you have breast and guys can't help but get aroused. Do you know what I mean by aroused? I will tell you that O's face was like super red and she was just like, uh-huh, uh-huh. And I was just trying to explain to her, like, if they get an erection, it's not their fault. It's nothing that you're doing, but the closer that you are and the longer that you are in that position, that can happen. She's like, yeah, I understand. Nothing's happened. I'm like, and you have my number, right? Door closed. Next door. Victoria? Yes. Same conversation. She's like, oh my God, what? What are you talking about right now? So I was like, okay, have the conversation, go downstairs. And I'm like, oh yeah, I just had to talk to your girls about this because last night I was like, what is going on right now? Like, how are they not?
Right.
Like literally aroused right now.
Which was funny which was totally fine that you did it, but it was funny because we had the whole sex talk with both of them, but there's circumstances that you don't go, oh, and by the way, during this time, this might happen, and during this time, this might happen. And like, so that was you like, saying, okay, listen, they're laying on the couch.
It's not them doing on purpose, right? Like, they're not like, oh my God, now I want to have sex.
As a parent, during that first sex conversation.
It's like, what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. They were just both like mortified. They were like, oh my God, when's she going home? I don't know what's going on.
But it's true, though, because in my house, it's, we talked to them. We told them. They know about drugs. They know about sex. They know about diseases. They know about, a lot of things because I need them to go out into the real world and be okay and be knowledgeable and say, that's not right. I mean, my kids come to me now and they have conversations with their friends and they're like, Mom, this is not right.
Well, I would rather you not give an award for participating and try to like comfort your child that way. I'd rather you not do that and make your children uncomfortable talking about sex because sex has a lasting effect on their life. If they get an infection, if they get pregnant, if they get pregnant at 16 and have a miscarriage, then you're explaining that. There's just so many different things that can happen or get an infection and not know it. And then they can't have kids when they want to in their 20s or 30s. There's like very real repercussions of parents not having open dialogue about difficult situations.
And it's not fun to sit across from your teenager and have that conversation. Not that it's, I mean, I think that's a weird word. If they're uncomfortable and you're uncomfortable, but if you're talking to them and you're serious and you're talking to them from the point of view of a parent looking out for their child or a adult looking out for somebody. I mean, you could need to have that conversation with a 25-year-old.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of 25 and 30-year-olds that are less informed than some 18-year-olds.
Most.
And I think it's just that people think it's taboo to talk about sex or things that could happen.
You can't say that it's taboo if women or if girls are like, you can't slut shame me. Like, now, what?
So
you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, you're right. Maybe you
can't have it both ways.
No, you can't. But maybe it's.
And are parents telling their children that they shouldn't be slut shamed and they can sleep with whoever they want to? Do you think that that's a thing?
No. I don't know. I don't know because I have found out.
Think about that for a minute.
Because I have found out from my kids that they have friends whose parents like let their boyfriends spend the night and sleep in the same bed and take showers together and know that they're having sex in the same room. And like,
Wait, what?
Yeah. Like,
No. Mm-mm, 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 mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, wait. I need a moment. You are telling me that parents are allowing teenagers
Yes.
to... Okay, so my question
Like,
is,
I've been married for
like
20
my
something
question
years,
is,
and
does the parent over here who's having the kids spend the night over there, do they know that?
Oh, I mean, probably
See, and
not.
This is another little checklist. Parents, you need to know the parents of your friends or of your children's friends and significant others, because I would hurt a person.
Well, so like with, yes, yeah, but I think that, like in my house, the boyfriends come over. We love the boyfriends. They traveled with us this summer to Hawaii. Both of the boyfriends traveled with us this summer to Hawaii, but the boyfriends, sadly enough, slept on sofas downstairs in one house, and then in the other house they slept in the heat in a sunroom on mattresses. And I just feel like even though they've been together for a while.
Now, see, this is what this conversation should be like with parents that literally were responsible parents. Hey, so do you know Catherine's coming over, spending the night? We allow Catherine to sleep in the same bed with Ben, and they can shower together, and we're okay with them having
because
sex.
You know what I would say?
That is the conversation that needs to be had. You should just be able to allow somebody to come over and spend the night and have sex in your house. Are you? I am literally mortified right now.
Because you know what? I would be like, oh, hell no. No.
Well.
Yeah.
This is troublesome. Like, I don't even have words. So, I literally don't have words. I mean, see, those are fighting words. My kid comes home pregnant and she tells me how this happened. Well, I have to say, I take that back. Unless she's lying to me. If she says that she's at Karen's and I think she's at Karen's, it's my due diligence to call Karen's parents to see if she's really there. But if she's been telling me she's been at Karen's, then she's really been at Bob's.
But even if...
That's sort of my responsibility also.
So even if I think you are 100% right. I think that you need to not only know your kid and have instilled in your child that it is, in my opinion, very disrespectful for you to go to your boyfriend's house or your girlfriend's house and
spend the night.
Well, I mean, I've let my daughters spend the night over at their boyfriend's houses, but I know the parents and I know where
the line is.
And I know they feel the same way. I know when my daughter goes to her boyfriend's house, she is not sleeping in his bed. I can tell you that.
But
I'm also not naive. I'm not an idiot. And I would trust her if she said to me, oh no, if I didn't know them and she said to me, oh no, I don't sleep in his room, I would believe her. But that would be on me. But I know his parents, so I think you have to instill things in your children to let them know that that's really not right. But you also need to know where they are and who they're with.
And I love the fact that you say that if one of the girls came home and said, I spent the night over there, I did not sleep in that bed, because I am literally pulling phones. I'm doing all the things. I don't I've seen too much. I've talked to too many kids.
But my kids are also legal adults.
Yeah. And you might see me in your window if you go back over there, because I needs to know all the things.
But I think that even being 18 and 21, being a legal adult,
if you're living in my house, I need to get all
to yourself to be. You have responsibility to yourself to not put yourself in that position. But my mom was telling me a story where my stepdad has cousins who go yearly on vacation with their dad. And and when I tell you they're older, they're like they were in their 40s at the time. And if they were not married, their boyfriends did not go. They had to be married for him to take them on vacation.
Sorry, guys. My dog made his way into this episode.
But yeah, so it's the parents that are letting their teenagers have spend the night parties and
be
have
adults
sex.
before they're adults.
Be adults before they're adults. Those are the ones.
But do you think that is a parent that's overwhelmed, has too much going on, and doesn't want to think about it? Is that a parent that is just, I trust my kids, this will never happen? Or a parent that's like, I just rather ignore it and not even think about it?
I think it's a huge combination because I think sometimes it might be the case of trying to be a cool parent. I think maybe it's the case of like, oh, well, they're 18, they're adults, it's on them. And I think that some of them probably trust their
before
kids.
You finish, is an adult 18 or 21?
I think you're legally an adult at 18. Like, I cannot talk to my daughter's doctor anymore. Like,
well, you can't talk to your daughter's doctor if they tell them not to, if they're 15.
I guess I've never run into that.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
I mean, I believe you. I guess I've never run into that. But at 18, they're like, no, you can't you can't call for a prescription. You can't call for this. You can't do that. At 21, they can legally drink.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me when I thought an adult was, I would say like 26.
Right.
That's
true. I'm just wondering if
or
people
55.
Think that, like,
I don't even know.
The magical age of 18, you're an adult when you know that your child is not functionally as an adult.
You're legally responsible for yourself. At 18, you can drop out of school if you're still in school, or you can, even in high school, we have 18-year-olds in high school. I mean, you can go to high school until you're 20.
What are we doing in high school at 20?
Oh.
Because they didn't pass classes and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Really?
I mean, we have 18-year-olds that are in ninth grade.
Tiffany, come on now.
Yes.
Tiffany.
I promise you. I promise you. I was looking at one yesterday. He might be 17.
What?
Because they don't pass their classes, so they don't get credit, so they don't have enough hours, so they're still technically ninth graders. He'll age out before he'll graduate.
Oh my God. Well, I guess that's another thing. So speaking of being 18.
So are you an adult? Not really.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, you're not an adult. And then if you're 18 and you're going to high school, what is it? Junior, senior prom. Are juniors going to prom with seniors and having sex because prom is the night that Susie's going to put out?
Oh, I'm sure.
What about that sophomores going with the juniors? Is this what is prom like these days?
Well, I think for prom, I don't know that much about prom because my oldest daughter never had a prom because her timing in school was COVID, and then the next year she was at a school that didn't have prom. My middle daughter had prom. She went both her junior and her senior year. Both times she was dating the guy that she went with. I've talked to a lot of girls that very hyped up now I think that prom, a lot of, like when we were growing up, we didn't go like just as a friend group to prom. You went to prom if you had a date.
Right.
So now they go as friend groups and all that stuff. You don't have to have a date. But I think that there's a lot of partying going on.
Is it still like a thing on prom to have sex, Victoria? So
Yeah.
we've heard from an expert in the age range, not an expert in things, but an expert meaning she's in this age range, that it's still a thing. People are still having sex.
Well, we got hotel rooms to drink.
To drink, not to have sexy. Well, you know, Steven literally, I don't know, Steven thinks he knows things that the average bear doesn't know. But he'll see a prom picture and he'll go down the line. Not having sex, having sex, not having sex, not having sex, not having sex. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes like, you see that guy? He's like all like hands in front of him, like serious face. And I'm like, yeah, he's not getting any. That one over there, hands all over the girl doing this.
Well, I would think that
having sex.
I would think that the person doing that with the hand probably already had
and having it that night too.
I could honestly say that I was shocked at the age of people having sex and how young.
I mean, I have to say I'm not shocked anymore because of
what you do.
It's incredible. And the fact that they seem so grown up when they talk about sex, especially like to me, like grown up, like I know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. But you ask them basic information and they're like, what are you talking about?
Do you think that the younger, so the younger you start talking and making it a normal subject, that the less likely these teenagers might be to start having sex so early? Like maybe more information would...
Here's the thing that I liken this to. In Italy, children, and I'm not gonna, I say Italy because I've been there the most, but I've been to I've been to a lot of European places. Children have a little glass of wine when starting out, because a lot of European, Italy especially, wine with dinner. They have, grown-ups have their full glass of wine. They have like these little, you could say it's like a shot glass, but it's a little wine glass. They sit there, they have their little thing of wine. They have it with dinner. It is something that it's normal. It's normalized because parents put it out there. It's wine. You have it with dinner, antioxidants, the whole 9 yards. They're not going to college trying to binge drink because, oh, I've had wine. I've tasted, a limoncello. I've tasted like the things, because it's not taboo if you're doing it at dinner with family, with friends.
So we talk about it.
So sex needs to be the same. Well, actually, drinking needs to be the same thing over here. It's like over here, you can't do anything, don't drink anything, blah, blah, blah. And then they go to go to college. They're really doing it in high school. But they go to college and no parents, no anything. And then we get binge drinking. We get alcoholics. We get, I got drunk. Then I tried this drug, that. Now we're on drugs.
I had sex with people I don't know.
I had sex without condoms. I woke up. Someone date raped me. Like, people. Conversation, it's the knowledge. It's the knowledge that we have to pass on about things that may be uncomfortable for you, but you went through them. You drank too early when you were in high school, but lucky enough, or maybe not lucky, maybe you have your own crazy story and you don't want to tell your kid that crazy story, but maybe that crazy story will have your kid not do the same thing you did.
You can raise your children and tell your children things. You don't have to divulge all your secrets, but you can still keep them
make your stories your friend's story.
I've told my kids about people I've dated and what I didn't want for them, and how I wouldn't change things because it made me who I was, but it's still...
I would change some things. Okay, go. I'm just saying, me, I would personally change some things.
Yeah. But I think this whole subject about God has you is something that we
It
could
really makes
say,
me so angry.
well, I think that the adults in your life need to have you and need to inform you. And I feel like if it's not some secret, you're taking your kids. If you keep these kind of things a secret, you're putting your kids in danger.
Yes.
Because your kids don't know. And we all know that knowledge is power.
Yes.
And we all know that if you step out there and you're informed and you're not scared of it and you're not scared to talk to your parents, then you're going to make better decisions. I mean, it's a given. I mean, if you know about it, you're going to make better decisions.
Where does the fear come from, right? Just because.
You mean the fear of a conversation?
Yeah, because listen to this. Like, we're talking about God has me, right? So you're literally teaching your child that someone they've never seen, never heard, never talks to is in their life, that helps them, you talk to them, you pray to them, and believe in them, you have faith in them. How is that a harder conversation than you need a condom and please don't have sex? Like, I don't understand. Like, make that make sense, because that does not make sense, people. That does not make sense.
Well, because you start, I mean, without getting into the religious aspect of the whole thing, I think the kids that are saying God has me, they're not the children who
are in Sunday school.
or are taught maybe from the time they're young, because then you understand where God plays a part in your life. Not that God's going to protect you from getting somebody pregnant or vice versa, or from getting pregnant, but that's a whole separate ball game. You need the knowledge. And I think we as an adults, as a society, it's just like the drinking. I mean, here in the United States, people don't talk about sex. It's not like we sit at the table. I mean, like we do, but you don't sit at a table at a restaurant and be like, oh, so did you have sex today? No, you don't do that. But you need to teach your children, to have respect for themselves more than anything. Have respect for yourself as a male or a female. But
especially when they're not going to be under your roof anymore. How do you send your child off to college with food? Like, you get a what is it called?
Meal card.
A meal card. You send them off with a car if they live far away and you want them to be able to move around. You
first aid, medicine,
clothes, comforter, a little hot plate or microwave. But
prepare them for all the things.
But you don't want to send them off with knowledge about birth control, condoms, and that. What did I say? What is it? Slut shaming's not a thing. Like, sex is about Now, see, now I'm gonna get all kind of like, what are you talking about? But for me, sex is about intimacy. How are you sleeping with Jack, Paul, Henry? And
it's not about that.
It's not like, that's just you trying to prove something, whether to yourself or to somebody else. But that's why I feel like the conversation needs to be had. Like,
that goes back to the whole
sex
scorecard.
Is not about sex. Sex is about a whole, like.
But nobody's taught. That's not a teenage thing, though. Teenagers aren't like, oh, let's be intimate.
So then why are we having sex? I mean, because, okay, let's take it back. Let's take it back to the very beginning. Why do males and females have sex? To procreate. So if you're not wanting to have a baby, I'm just basics.
In the beginning.
Yeah, you're a teenager. We're not talking about intimacy, and you don't want to have a baby. Why is someone's penis going into someone's vag? I don't. Can you make it make sense?
Well, like the first time, did you have sex? Did you want to have a baby?
I wasn't 18. And I knew all the things. I knew all the things. I was one of those people that I was like, okay, you're a guy, and just because you want this doesn't mean that you get this. So, no.
Well, you're still like that.
I am still like that.
But I'm saying that, no, I just don't think it's feasible to think that people are ever going to think that way.
But why?
Well, because
why? How is that? See, that's the conversation that should be had.
Well, because nobody's going to sit across from their kid and say, now, this is what sex is, but you only have sex to have a baby.
No, you say this is what sex is.
I mean, you can have a
sex originally in the whole scheme of things is to have a baby. Do you want to have a baby? No. So what you need to do is
protect
birth
yourself.
Control,
yes,
and a condom.
So there you go. That brings it full circle.
Oh, yes. I can full circle it.
That brings it full circle.
I can make it make sense. I can make it make sense because this God literally has me on a tear. Like, I cannot understand it. I don't understand how,
because you're invincible, Trace.
I don't understand how the most vulnerable population that we have is our children, and we're not preparing them properly. We're not having the conversations that literally change the trajectory of their lives. A child or an STI, treated, untreated, like, leads to very permanent conditions.
All because we don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation.
Because you don't want to have a conversation with your child. It's your responsibility. Hate me if you want to, but it's your responsibility to have these conversations. If you're going to have a child, bring them in this world, bring them up, you need to have this conversation because it is an important conversation.
And if you really can't have that conversation, you need to find somebody who will have that conversation.
Your doctor, your best friend that has no fear whatsoever that will say anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's true,
have those conversations.
It's very true.
Because it's not like...
Yeah, it's very true. Because...
Slut shaming. What?
Well, I think that you think about a lot of the generation is very pro-female, female power, females can do this, females can do that. And if a guy
what females can do?
Get pregnant?
Say no.
Yeah.
Like, females can be like, I love you. You're not getting any of this. I'm not ready. I don't want to. Where's your condom? How we have the conversation?
But I think that when you're talking about...
That's empowerment. No.
Yes.
Is an empowerment word. It's not a bad word.
No, it's not. What I'm saying is, you know that just like when we were in high school, it's probably nothing has changed as far as guys can do what guys are going to do, and they're going to go in the locker room and they're going to be like, I scored with her tonight and her last night and her last night. And they're going to get high fives all around. And I think that what the girls are saying now is that if a guy's going to get high fives all around because he scored with 5 different people, you can't come at me because I slept with 5 different guys.
This can't come at me, but I'm that person that says and no.
Right, but I think it should be no and no for males and females, but I don't think that's the way it's ever going to be. So I think that the females are saying, if you're not going to slut shame him, you're sure not going to slut shame me. And maybe that's where the whole, why people know what people's, but here's what's your body count. That's why people like, and even Steven said that afternoon.
Yeah, but
the higher the body count, the better.
But here's the caveat to that. Because we're talking about don't slut shame me. I can sleep with 50 people if I want to, but you go tell your fiance that you slept with 50 people and you don't get that ring back. Like, you're not going home to meet mom. So you need to figure out that there's like a fine line between slut shaming and you being someone's wife. If that's your thing. If you don't want to get married, you want to go out there and have all the fun and do all the things,
right?
But still have the knowledge to do that.
I think yes, and I think if you have the knowledge, if as a parent or as an adult you have given somebody that knowledge and you have prayed that you have sent them into this world knowing, then you have done your job.
Yeah.
But if you have not done your job and your kid comes home to you at 18 or 19 or even 24,
20,
25 and not in a position to be pregnant, you have to take some of that responsibility.
You have to take all of that responsibility.
Because you can't say, well, you slept with him with no protection. Well,
did we have a conversation about
Did you tell me about that? Because I've told my kids, you can talk to me, you can talk to other grown-ups, you can talk to your friends, but remember, your friends might not know.
Yeah. They don't know, obviously, because God has people, apparently. Okay, you guys, you can tell that I'm very heated about this subject. I'm going to let it rest for now. I'm sure we'll have more conversations about it, but definitely talk to us. Tell us what you're thinking. This is one of those other discussions that we need to have, like a call-in session, so people can tell us what they're thinking, why you're not having the conversation, why you are having the conversation.
And I think if you don't know yourself as a parent or as an adult, you don't know yourself, and so that's why you're scared. I think you should be able to, or you need to try and reach out. You need to try and find that information, try and find a way to have a conversation with your kids.
Right.
Even if you don't have a close relationship with your kids and you don't want to delve into like serious stuff, you can keep it keep it basic, and you can say these are some important things without going into a lot.
And just remember, the concept, I feel, of having children is to make them the best versions of themselves and to give them the things that you did not have. If your parents didn't sit down and have this conversation with you, and you know what you went through, the questions you had, whether you slept with people or didn't sleep with people, the insecurity around sex, all of the things, you owe it to your children to have this difficult conversation, read about it, talk about it, or find someone for them to talk to, because they deserve more than we had.
And I also think if you're a young person and you're listening to this, that you need to make sure that you go and find somebody you can ask these questions to and take care of yourself, because what you don't realize is there are repercussions when you get older. There's always repercussions for things that you do, good and bad. And I think that it's important for your physical and your mental health to know and put yourself in positions of power, be powerful, and be able to say no. If you don't want to have sex, just say no. And if you don't feel like you can say no, then you're with the wrong person.
Exactly. No is powerful.
And use it. Yeah. And find those people and put those people in your life, because slut shaming or non-slut shaming, however you want to say it, is, when you get older, it's not a thing. It's not a good look on people to say, I slept with 20 people.
50 people was the thing.
What is that? That just means 50 different people have been in places where 50 different people should not be.
I mean, if that's your thing, but if you're
50 people should still not be there.
I mean, I'm not saying that 50 people shouldn't be there, but
why couldn't you have sex 50 times with one person?
Well, because, they can't find the right person. I don't know. I'm just saying, you can have sex with 50 people when you're 30. You should not be having 50 people when you're 18, 19, 20, 22, 23. Like, you don't even know yourself. You don't even know if you like sex. You don't even know how to have sex, basically. Okay? In your 30s, if you want to get out there and, shake it till the sun don't shine, but do you? But we're talking about our kids. Kids are our future. Knowledge is power. Please. Okay, guys. I hope I made it make sense. I hope we made it make sense.
Probably. Maybe
write
not today.
in, call us, yell at us, whatever you want to do. Click subscribe, all the things. Happy summer. Thank you for watching Truth and Tonic for Women. If you have any questions, leave a comment and let us know. Also, follow us on social media to interact with the community. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.